Hello, welcome to Tim's Travel Time. I'm Tim LePage. We take you to spectacular places in very special ways. Our journey today takes us to Kenya. Each African country is unique in its own special way, but Kenya is as diverse as any. This East African country has enjoyed great stability, and the name safari is probably synonymous with Kenya. Stanton Jones and his family decided to take a special trip to Kenya. And our guests today are Nancy and his son Connor. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So what was it? Was it a lifetime dream to take your family on a trip like this?
It was, and unfortunately or fortunately, two of our kids didn't get to come on the trip, so I think I get to go again.
That's certainly the way to plan it. And tell me, Connor, what was it like from the standpoint of sharing it with your family?
I thought it was a lot of fun to be with, well, I had been in Kenya for a month before them, so it was kind of exciting to have people who I know on this trip with me and be able to share Kenya in a place that I had lived in for a month with them.
And you'd been doing a philanthropic mission before this trip.
Yeah, I'd been doing a month of volunteer work there, building a bridge with just a little community, so I kind of got to see both sides of Kenya. Definitely the great safari side where lots of animals, and the side that I was on first where it's pretty dry, not too much wildlife, and kind of just the local food more.
There are several ways to take a safari in Africa. There's the conventional game park journeys, and then there's the luxury mobile tented safaris. And the Jones family elected to do something rather special, staying on private land hosted by the owners of this land, where they only sleep about 16 people. They went on an extraordinary adventure. So I think your first destination was Old Onyawaus, overlooked by 19,000-foot Mount Kilimanjaro. Tell me the impact on that place as you arrived on 350,000 acres of untracked Africa.
When our plane landed in the middle of, an airstrip, just a patch of dirt, it was exciting to see. Our driver was there with our adventure vehicle, and out of the bushes came a couple of Maasai men that had been herding. It was like they appeared out of nowhere. And then, before we even got to Onyawaus, we had seen some elephant, and what else, Connor? Do you remember?
So all the impala and the animals like that are everywhere there.
Pretty exciting.
Did you get some good views of Kilimanjaro?
Definitely. It was a little harder when we landed because of it was mainly only out during the morning, during the evening, and during the day it would get covered up by the clouds. So during the daytime, we kind of saw the outline of it, which was cool because it doesn't look like a mountain should be there at all, just because I believe it's the largest freestanding mountain in the world where there's no range around it. It's just out there. So it was pretty cool just having it tower over you where it almost doesn't look like a mountain should be there.
And tell me about some of the activities that you got up to there.
Well, Whitney, who was 13, loved the pool.
And there was some horse riding?
There was lots of horses there. We actually didn't do any of the horse ridings. We elected to do more of the walks. We walked, one morning we walked a couple miles to overlooking kind of the plains. We went out of the bush and into the plain area and had our breakfast overlooking just a whole group of animals from
Giraffe,
zebras, giraffe.
wildebeest. It was spectacular.
Yeah.
And I gather there
And
was
Kilimanjaro.
Yeah.
And I gather there was some nighttime activities as well.
Yes, the night drives were probably some of my favorite over the whole 2-week trip that we were there. We saw a couple lions, all the nighttime, hyenas and cheetahs, things like that.
And your next destination was north to the Laikipia Plateau, to Ol Malo. This spectacular 8-person lodge is located right on the cliff edge. What was your feeling as you came out onto the cliff edge to overlook Africa?
I remember the landing strip, it was definitely the best treated out of all the landing strips we went to, which was very cool. We landed right up to the edge of this cliff and met by the car and the owner. And I mean, all of these places that we went to were very, it was a close-knit group. It wasn't like we were with 20 people or more. It was all 10 people.
They
at the
knew our
most.
names. They were expecting us.
And
we
it was-
felt like family almost.
Yeah, and
Yes,
it
well,
was.
you
very
end up
special
making new
guests.
best friends.
Absolutely.
And of course, you are meeting some of the great characters of Kenya and of Kenya's history. So that's a very special experience in itself. And your next journey was across the Great Rift Valley to the world famous Masai Mara. And there you landed at Rakero Camp, right on the edge of the Talek River. Tell me about the feelings that you, as you came into the campsite there.
You know, each one was everything you wanted and more. And every time we went to a new place, I thought, well, it couldn't be better than the last. And everyone was my favorite for a different reason. And that one, the river, we were right on the river. There was wildlife in camp. There were elephants, and was there a leopard or a lion?
There,
You know,
I guess the week
in
before
the
there'd been
trees
the
nearby.
cheetah in a tree with some of its prey.
Jackson, who was our host there, was a fascinating man who had, you know, a local from Kenya who knew the wildlife and treated us to a fabulous experience.
I really liked the little community visits where we'd go out and see how actually the local people lived and how it, not kind of the buttered up version where things are kind of hidden from you, but we really got to go inside of the house. They were really welcoming towards us.
Kenya has enjoyed a population explosion over the last 40 years, and of course, the wildlife is under pressure from humanity. And I often say to people, it's time to go now before it changes forever. Did you get a feeling of how things are changing?
Yes, and I felt that way about the wildlife, and it is time to go. It's time to go now.
Definitely. I mean, we went on a great time because it was right after the rainy season where people, it was during the rainy season actually, but we had great weather and not many tourists were there at all. We were pretty much, every place that we went to, we were by ourselves or with one other
Another
group
family
with
or
us.
two.
So.
But the other thing is, like you say, that the Maasai, the traditional way of life is changing, and that was just as important to me as seeing the wildlife was seeing how the people have lived.
Thanks for joining us. Stay tuned for another episode of Tim's Travel Time and another exciting adventure.